Ladies and gentlemen, this position, this submission here will be a body crush. It's very painful, very powerful position. All right, I'm starting from one arm over his head, other arm down by his hip. I have to be really tight to him because what I want to do is I want to bait him into creating space between his back and the floor. So the tighter I am to him, the more he's going to want to create that space. And the more he creates that space, the more opportunity it's going to give me in order to get my lock. So when he creates that space, I start from my position here. And he can't get out because I won't give him no space between myself, my body, and his body. He has to create space between his body and the floor. So as he bridges, I lock my hands right on his back. Here, tight. Now I'm going to drive him back to the floor using my legs and my body weight. I'm going to drive him back to the floor. Now, from here, I have to create as much pressure as I can between my body and his body. And the way I'm going to do that is, for a moment, I want to pretend that he's not even there. And when I create pressure, I'm going to lock my hands. I'm going to pull my elbows into my chest. I'm going to use my back. I'm going to expand my chest. And I'm going to try to squeeze my hands into my sternum. And I'm going to press everything down. I want my elbows to cave in. I want everything to come to the center. And I'm pretending his body's not there. So everything just collapses in. Just so much pressure coming from every angle. I want it coming down from my chest. I want it coming in from my elbows on the sides of his body. And then as I'm pushing into the floor's not going nowhere. So he's getting pressure coming from the floor. So all that pressure is coming down in on his chest and on the sides of his body, and that's what's going to make you get the submission. Now you have run into some tough guys, some strong guys, maybe a little bit bigger that you may not be able to get the submission on, but what will happen is it'll tire these guys out and you'll be able to get the submission later. So make sure that you don't neglect this technique just because it may not work against some people. So let's do it in full speed, show you how that works. Now guys, let's work on getting this head and arm choke. I love doing the head and arm choke because, man, it's very effective, it's very safe, and even if you miss it, you can always go to different things from it. But for right now, let's get the head and arm choke. Another setup from working from the side position. I got one arm on the side of his head, here, other arm by his hip. Now, in order for him to get out, he's going to want to have his elbow inside here, try to create some leverage and push me away. I need to get rid of his elbow. So I'm going to start here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hip heist my body to get rid of his elbow. I'm going to hit it this way, using my leg to get it up. Now I'm going to trap it with this leg. Once it's trapped, I'm going to reach under his head, my arm, and I'm going to spin my body this way. Now I'm going to grab my hands, sink down, just going to sink nice and deep, elbows in, and squeeze. Let's do this technique in fast motion. Alright guys, this is a very, very, very sneaky key lock from the side position. They will never see this one coming. Alright, I'm going to start from the side. I got one arm over, the other one down by the hip. Here. Now what I want to do is, first thing I want to do is I want to wrap his head up. So I'm going to wrap his head because I need to get him not thinking about his arm. I need to get him thinking about something else. Wrapping his head up, he's going to be so focused on his head, he's not thinking about his arm. So I'm going to wrap his head up, then I'm going to lean forward on my head to create some space. That space is going to cause him to get his elbow away from his body. So I'm going to start here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap his head. Then I'm going to lean forward. Now, he done gave me his arm. So I'm going to come underneath his arm and grab his hand. Right here, I'm going to come right underneath his tricep, grab his hand, then I'm going to pull it down. Right here. I'm going to show you in fast motion. Now we're going to work a modified arm choke from this position again, where I'm starting with, I have one arm over his head, past his head, the other one by his hip. Start here. And when I had this position, I initially want to start and trap his arm with my legs on this side. So I have it here with his arm trapped underneath my legs. This arm's past, this one's by his hip. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise up a little to give myself space to get this arm through this side of his head, or this side of his body rather, right on the opposite side of his shoulder. So when I raise up, I'm going to shoot that arm all the way under his head and his arm to here. Now I'm going to get a grip with my hands, like this. I'm going to grip my hands underneath his shoulder. Up, grip my hands underneath his shoulder. Now I'm going to put my head down and sit out. Now from here, I'm going to push my shoulder, under my armpit, all into his neck as I squeeze, and I apply a lot of pressure, my chest down on his arm, and I'm just going to apply as much pressure as I can and get the submission. Now let's do it in full speed. All right, guys, we're going to work on this darts choke coming from the side mount position. Got one arm over the head, other arm down by his hip. I start here in my side position, nice and tight. Now he's got his elbow in. Sometimes it's hard, and not a lot of things to do. Sometimes it's hard to really control a guy on the bottom, and he's got this arm in. So I have to start to try to think of different things to do. Start to think of ways to make some space to get some different submissions. So I start here in my position. Now, he's starting to get out, so I'm going to create that space for him to think he can get out. Now, as I create that space, I'm going to shoot my hand underneath his neck. Here. Now, this hand's going to come on his arm, and I'm going to push it down to here. Now, I'm going to grab my arm here. Now, I'm not going to try to finish here. I'm going to run back onto the inside of him. This way. And I'm going to just push into his chest, sag my chest into his head, and squeeze my elbows. Don't try to finish on the side. I want you to run back in front of him and push him back down. Let's do this technique in fast motion. There's another little tricky submission that I'm going to work from the side mount position. This time I'm working with one arm over and I got my other arm by his hip. Now, one thing about this position with my hand by his hip is this is more of a transitional position. When I'm going from side mount and I want to get coverage over his body, when I want to go to north-south position. So this is more of a transitional position, but if you get stuck here, you have to pay attention because they will give you submissions from here. Let's work on one of them. I have one arm over the head, the other one by his hip. Now what I'm going to notice is that he brings his foot a little too close to me. A little too close to his butt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook his foot with my arm, with my hand here. Just grab his foot. Now I'm going to put my shoulder into his stomach, putting a lot of pressure on his stomach to keep him flat, keep his hips still. So hook here, here. Then I'm going to straighten my leg to put more pressure on. Then I'm going to extend his leg out. I'm going to stretch him out and get the screw lock. So as I'm here, I'm putting pressure, a lot of weight on him, and I'm going to get the screw lock. Now let's do it full speed.